The saga follows Xiaonan, the unluckiest hero glued to center stage. Born with a crippled body and stuck at rock-bottom cultivation, has everyone's favorite punchline. Just when fate slams the door, something bizarre kicks it back open. That odd twist makes the sex top ladies suddenly very interested in him. In a world ruled by heaven and earth laws and 5 elements, spiritual power fuels life across 21 continents obsessed with cultivation. Thousands of sects crowd the land like mushrooms after rain. Yet only Beijing Jinzong stands tall as the undisputed overlord. And right now, all eyes are on the chaos at hand by Yu Square. Amid the wobble, a boy stands beneath the goddess statue while people shout out cultivation rankings. The unlucky specimen is Xiaonan, desperately circulating spiritual power in a body that's basically empty. As he blinks in confusion, an elder booms his cultivation result like a final verdict. Cue instant ridicule mockery rains down from every direction. High on a distant peak, a few mysterious figures watch the circus below. A stunning woman chuckles, murmuring Xiaonan's name like has her new toy. Beside her, another icy beauty repeats his pathetic cultivation level. Insults about his background hammer down, leaving Xiaonan trembling yet powerless. Even higher up, 4 mighty elders of Jianzong observe the drama. Great Elder Niu Pengyun arrives, massive and radiating bizarre authority. 4th Elder He Mo Li, blue-haired and feathermouth, doubts the ancient prophecy. 3rd Elder Jin Shu sips tea calmly, while 2nd Elder and Peak Master Bo Jianfeng emits pressure no one dares meet. Jin Shu warns the grand formation might drain Xiaonan's life dry. Bingyun coldly insists the ancestors' prophecy has never missed, no backing out now. At her command, the other 3 elders eagerly comply. The 4 soar skyward, unleashing dazzling auras like a fireworks show. Their energies merge into a colossal light pillar crashing into the ancestor's statue. Xiaonan stares at the incoming lightning, convinced he's about to be toasted. Before he can blink, the terrifying force hits and knocks him out cold. Blood streams from his nose, eyes rolled back like he took a fatal crit. In his haze, a strange power floods him and he assumes he's dead. But when he looks again, it's still the ancestor's statue, not the underworld. Realizing he's alive, Xiaonan's heart pounds like a drum solo. The disciples gape, someone shakily asking if he's kicked the bucket. An elder sighs that even peak experts would struggle with that grand formation. Everyone recoils in fear, backing away like his contagious doom. Xiaonan mutters blankly, brain still buffering. When he speaks again, the disciples scatter as if a zombie just respawned. Alone in the empty square, he stares around, utterly clueless. From the cliff, Bingyun notes his survival with interest, declaring him heaven's chosen. As senior sister, she announces she'll personally train Xiaonan per the ancestors' will. Molly objects at once Jianzong's key figure isn't hers to monopolize. Jin Shu cuts in, arguing Yao Feng underpins the sect and Xiaonan should learn alchemy instead. Instantly, it's a full-blown talent to go for among 3 elders. Just as tensions peak, a bone-chilling sword intent slashes down. The overwhelming pressure forces all 3 to dodge or risk being sliced in pride and body. 2nd Elder Wu Yan arrives with an ice sword, flatly claiming Xiaonan for Jianfeng to cultivate the sword Dao. He Mo Li fires back, ready to throw hands rather than give up. Jin Shu watches from the sidelines, secretly thrilled for a clash of titans. She schemes that if they fight, she'll reap the benefits popcorn-free. But her spectator fantasy shatters when Bingyun steps in. She halts the brewing brawl and orders everyone to stop squabbling. Bingyun suggests a fair plan: hide their identities and let Xiaonan choose. The 3 elders mull it over and praise senior sister's clever play. All eyes turn to Wu Yan for the final word. Wu Yan drops a single agree and vanishes silently like a cool exit. The scene shifts to the cave dwelling of Jianzong's newest disciple. Xiaonan soaks in a hot spring, trying to steam away the chaos. Still, he fumes at being labeled a lucky freeloader. He insists survival is destiny, not discount fortune. Thinking of his ruined family and broken engagement, he sees only tragedy on loop. Worst of all is his bottomless body. Spiritual achieve goes in, achievement goes out. Amid the misery, he pins hope on his only relic, a mysterious ring. Gambling on fate, Xiaonan rushes to retrieve it. When anger makes him toss the ring, a cryptic warning declares his soul foreign and a karma reversal process activated. Hearing that, Xiaonan lights up, surely a heaven-defying opportunity has arrived. The system activates a forbidden reverse cultivation art, constantly deducting his cultivation. His joy dies fast as he watches his power nosedive. No matter how he protests, the mechanism keeps running, crushing his spirit. Despairing at a method where effort equals loss, he gives up and lies flat literally. Just as his morale hits rock bottom, the door suddenly swings open. Xiaonan jolts in alarm, fearing a midnight intruder. Looking up, his first struck by a pair of stunning legs, priorities shaken. The intruder is none other than Bingyun, sneaking into his room. Before he can process it, she kneels with a strange expression like prepping an experiment. Xiaonan's mind spirals into wild guesses involving sinister arts. He even suspects has been targeted since the square incident. Bingyun's intense gaze convinces him disaster of the indecent kind is near. In truth, Bingyun is secretly casting a dreamentry technique she mastered years ago. She plans to control his consciousness and make the child of destiny willingly accept her as master. Xiaonan braces heroically for doom, only to find reality wildly off-script. Suddenly, 2 invisible forces slam into his mind at once. Bingyun forms seals nonstop, pouring full power into the spell. The invading force makes Xiaonan think she's truly out for his life. Waves of bizarre aura flood his consciousness. The system pops up alerts, mental damage taken, stats skyrocketing. Xiaonan is utterly dumbfounded by the absurdity. He quickly realizes the more his attack, the stronger his spiritual power grows. He concludes the system has a delightfully fatal bug. Grasping the cheat code, Xiaonan relaxes and enjoys this heavenly perk. In the illusory dream, a peerless beauty radiating dominance beckons him closer. Seizing the cosmic freebie, Xiaonan loosens his mind, thrilled like he hit jackpot destiny. Internally, he cheers. If this is torture, may it intensify. Meanwhile, Bingyun senses something wrong as her own spiritual power starts scrambling. While she's still confused, Xiaonan suddenly springs up like a launched trap. Bingyun freezes, Xiaonan sprays a nosebleed, and his brain explodes with legendary dual cultivation fantasies. Xiaonan vows to savor this once-in-a-lifetime moment while Bingyun is utterly stunned. Before she reacts, Xiaonan closes in with dangerously boundary-crossing intent. Seeing his passionate face, she feels a strange, nameless flicker in her heart. She briefly admits the brat isn't actually hard on the eyes. Reason snaps back and crushes the wandering thoughts. A slap crashes down like thunder from a clear sky. Xiaonan is sent flying, hitting the ground like a fallen meteor. Bingyun is shocked that things spiraled out of control so fast. She realizes Xiaonan was even unconsciously absorbing her spiritual power. Meanwhile, Xiaonan gains nothing but pain from the deal. After a while, he wakes clutching his head and wailing miserably. Bingyun is both suspicious and stunned at his absurd recovery speed. She suddenly leans in, catching Xiaonan off guard for a close inspection. After checking carefully, she confirms his mind shows zero intrusion. Xiaonan flusters, pushes her away, and plays dumb. Privately, he suspects she might be slightly unhinged. His reaction convinces Bingyun his abnormal spiritual power matches the prophecy. Xiaonan curls up in panic, convinced a deranged woman is about to force him. Bingyun awkwardly introduces herself, trying to sound calm and dignified. Yet restraint crumbles as she keeps staring, while he trembles in a corner like prey. Hearing his silly guess, Bingyun fumes and punches him, reminding him has a third-stage disciple hard enough to draw tears. The system instantly responds. Bone aptitude increased. Xiaonan freezes in shock. Ignoring him, Bingyun softens her tone, claiming she was sent to tutor him privately. Just as she feels smug, Xiaonan seriously asks her to hit him again. He quickly connects the dots. Every attack boosts his stats thanks to reverse cultivation. His eyes blaze like his grasp the ultimate cultivation truth. Overexcited, Xiaonan pants and urges senior sister to keep attacking. Without waiting, he lunges forward in a wildly misunderstood move. Bingyun reflexively kicks him, launching him straight into the wall. The system chimes again. Bone aptitude increased. Bingyun stands there breathless, horrified and baffled. Xiaonan pops back up, acting even stranger. He casually reassures her with comments that only deepen the awkwardness. Furious, Bingyun nearly draws her sword and calls him a pervert. Sensing real danger, Xiaonan wisely backs off. While he cackles over his get-beaten-to-grow-stronger path, Bingyun is stunned by this absurd child of destiny. To end the chaos, she hands him a basic cultivation manual. Xiaonan reads the title, instantly feeling something's fishy. Bingyun, however, grows more certain has a rare genius with bizarre logic. Even finding him odd, she becomes more determined to claim him. Skimming the index, Xiaonan suddenly asks about another manual, one that's top secret inheritance, raising her suspicion. Without overthinking, she grabs him and demands tonight's event stay absolutely secret. Bingyun proposes they test the manual's method. Immediately, Xiaonan tries to stay calm under pressure. When she touches his face, he blushes instinctively and hurriedly pretends to meditate. The system reports slight spiritual key growth has shocked that even acting pays off. His joy ends with another slap when Bingyun catches him faking it. Terrified, Xiaonan finally starts cultivating for real. The system glitches, spiritual key rises and falls. The harder he trains, the worse it gets. Xiaonan confirms the cursed rule: effort equals regression. Bingyun misreads it as diligence and proudly declares she'll guard him all night. Xiaonan breaks into cold sweat, suspecting she's the greatest obstacle to his cultivation career. Just as tension peaks, a knock echoes from outside. Xiaonan jumps, instantly scripting worst-case scenarios. Bingyun reacts fast and clamps a hand over his mouth. She signals absolute silence, no hero speech is allowed. As he struggles, the system reports spiritual root increased, confirming it's gloriously broken. Outside, Jinshu introduces herself from Yaofeng, claiming she brought pills for his pathetic cultivation. Xiaonan is confused, but Bingyun panics, sensing a recruitment scheme and deciding to hide. She gestures again for him to shut up. Then she sneaks into the wardrobe, ordering him not to expose her, leaving Xiaonan utterly bewildered. Before he processes anything, the door opens. Jinshu enters with a gentle smile, praising his late-night hard work. Xiaonan feigns calm and awkwardly asks why senior sister visits at midnight. Noticing his odd composure, Jinshu suspects he truly is the prophesied figure. Xiaonan's mind spirals. Why is tonight a non-stop disaster marathon? Jinshu steps close, smiling mysteriously as she presents a glowing pill promising cultivation boosts. Internally, she smirks, planning to lure him with rare treasure. She even fantasizes about a close master-disciple future. Xiaonan thanks her outwardly but sweats inside at the terrifying gift. He silently curses his luck with unpredictable women all in one night. Before he can refuse, Jinshu restrains him and forces the pill toward his mouth. Xiaonan panics, imagining poison and imminent doom. In desperation, he fakes pain and knocks the pill away. The glowing pill drops to the floor. He apologizes, secretly celebrating his escape. Unexpectedly, Jinshu coldly crushes the pill underfoot. She claims its properties mutated from tonic to lethal toxin, so it's trash now. Xiaonan freezes, then his eyes gleam at the powdered toxin. Jinshu casually pats him, telling him not to regret it. She produces a handful of more pills, boldly tempting him to join Yaofeng. Terrified, Xiaonan backs away, begging her to stop. Inside the wardrobe, Bingyun watches in silent fury. She fumes that Jinshu is too cunning and must be stopped. Bingyun flicks her finger, making a noise against the wardrobe door. Jinshu spins around loudly demanding who's there. Xiaonan turns pale, hugging the wardrobe and nervously denying any sound. Jinshia's face darkens without explanation. She grabs Xiaonan and tosses him aside like luggage. She even pretends gallantry, claiming she'll protect him from danger. Without hesitation, Jinshu approaches the suspicious wardrobe to open it. Inside, Bingyun stiffens like a statue under judgment. In crisis, Xiaonan snatches a pill from the floor and loudly asks about its strange effects. Jinshu whirls back in alarm, rushing to stop him. Too late, Xiaonan swallows it smoothly like water. His body blazes as spiritual Q surges wildly into his danshin. The system explodes with notifications, stats skyrocketing across the board. Xiaonan rejoices like a lottery winner, confirming poison is his true blessing. Jinshu stands stunned, unable to believe a ruined pill caused such transformation. In the wardrobe, Bingyun trembles, recognizing his heaven-chosen aptitude. In moments, Xiaonan shifts from victim to prized treasure. Before the shock fades, a voice from outside freezes the room. Xiaonan feels dread, while Jinshu instantly recognizes the newcomer as second senior sister. Xiaonan slips up with the wrong form of address, deepening Jinshia's suspicion. He realizes the mistake immediately, but it's too late. Under Jinshia's probing gaze, he goes speechless as she forms dangerous suspicions and decides to flee. Flustered, Jinshia's eyes land on the wardrobe and a new scheme sparks instantly. She rushes to the wardrobe, slips inside, and whispers for Xiaonan to keep everything secret. Xiaonan stands there stunned, brain scrambled, then decides to let the two women sort it out themselves. Inside, Jinshu immediately meets Bingyun's horrified stare. The two glare at each other, the wardrobe air thick enough to slice. Regaining composure, Xiaonan opens the door and greets the visitor. He awkwardly fumbles his address and asks the senior sister's purpose. Shan Wuyan stands outside with sword in hand, eyes icy as she sizes him up. Calm on the surface, she's inwardly shocked by his breakthrough speed. Xiaonan boldly guesses She's here to assist his cultivation. Feeling confident, he bluntly asks if she carries orders to support him. Wuyan douses him with reality she's only delivering a notice. Embarrassed, Xiaonan quickly admits his misunderstanding. The next morning, all disciples gather at the square. An elder announces the rules for division into 4 academies by level. A key refining second-layer puppet will test their strength. How long they last against it decides their placement. The start signal rings out, disciples roaring in response. Xiaonan drags his sleep-deprived body in, looking like a ghost. Right then, Qian Duodu appears, pointing at him with disdain. He brings lackeys and openly mocks Xiaonan as the weakest link. Xiaonan notes Qian Duodu as a near-breakthrough genius and decides not to provoke him. The system suddenly reports mental damage received, bonus points gained. Xiaonan's eyes sparkle like he just struck gold. He pretends to rage and deliberately provokes Qian Duodu for more insults. The system happily logs more mental damage points. Outwardly gloomy, inwardly Hes throwing a celebration. He silently hopes for extra curses to farm more upgrade points. 2 junior disciples whisper, suspecting has lost his mind. As tension spikes, Jiba Meirong appears, reminding everyone of Jianzong's fairness rules. The crowd buzzes as a noble genius, strong and charismatic. Jiba Meirong kindly encourages Xiaonan, accidentally triggering more mental damage gains. He recounts his own struggles at 3rd stage, making Xiaonan groan inside. His half-joking jabs hit straight at Xiaonan's low cultivation sore spot. Xiaonan realizes the smiling genius is actually a mental stat menace. The system gleefully reports massive psychological damage, his divine soul surges. Xiaonan throws an arm around Jiba Meirong, grinning in gratitude. His calm reaction leaves Jiba Meirong speechless and the crowd stunned. Unbeknownst to them, someone else observes this absurdity. Atop a towering ancient tree, Shan Wuyan watches, impressed by Xiaonan's mental stability. She tightens her resolve to recruit him at any cost. Below, the elder waves his sleeve, announcing the test will proceed by cultivation order. Xiaonan is called first, leaving even himself confused. The disciples snicker, certain he'll be eliminated instantly. Ignoring the whispers, Xiaonan bows seriously and steps into the arena. From above, Shan Wuyan watches coldly, waiting to see his true potential. Xiaonan cautiously approaches the puppet, gripping his sword with hesitation. He slashes straight at its face. The strike leaves only a tiny scratch, barely cosmetic. The puppet counters instantly, landing a heavy punch that sends him flying. His body soars through the air from the brutal force. Shan Wuyan shakes her head in disappointment, unable to see much potential. The crowd erupts in noise at his instant defeat. Struggling up, Xiaonan notices the system boosted his stats from the damage. He suddenly understands so long as he survives, getting beaten only makes him stronger. Xiaonan instantly realizes the puppet is his perfect XP farming machine. Up above, Shan Wuyan is stunned to see him stagger back up for round 2. Ignoring doubtful stares, Xiaonan grips his sword and strides forward like an action movie lead. He charges the puppet again without hesitation. Screaming as he runs, he treats it like a walking experience pack. The arena erupts with violent clashes, everyone holding their breath. Stat increase notifications spam nonstop while Xiaonan gets beaten into tatters. The system keeps adding points, the more Hes hit, the richer he gets. Even half-ruined, he keeps throwing himself back into battle. The crowd murmurs as he lasts far longer than predicted. The elder is shocked by his grit, and a few female disciples even grow fond of him. All eyes lock on him, ragged like trash, willpower hard as steel. The puppet attacks coldly, speed and power unwavering. Xiaonan barely blocks through the pain, groaning nonstop. He knows as long as he's not dead, he's still profiting. Suddenly, the puppet shatters his sword with a strike, stunning the arena. The crowd anxiously questions how a 3rd stage nobody lasted this long. The atmosphere explodes as people start cheering for Xiao Nan. Refusing to quit, he charges with half a broken blade. Though swatted away easily, he refuses to stay down. Like a reckless armored truck, he roars and barrels forward again. His relentless assault forces the puppet into passive defense. The system announces his endurance has reached 8th grade. Mid-charge, he takes a full palm strike to the gut. Sent flying and coughing blood, he curses his fragile mortal body. The system coldly updates every attribute surges upward. Struggling up in agony, Xiao Nan admits this fight is unforgettable. The puppet suddenly drops to its knees, seemingly overloaded or drained. The elder eyes Xiao Nan like hidden treasure, deciding on special observation. Abruptly, the spirit bird atop the puppet glows crimson and chants eerily. The crowd buzzes at the abnormal state and impending result. The puppet shakes violently, sounding like a machine about to explode. Rampaging spiritual power cracks the arena ground. From 4 distant peaks, 4 golden pillars of light shoot skyward. The elders are shaken. This phenomenon belongs only to peerless prodigies. The puppet lifts its head and mechanically declares Xiao Nan admitted to the Prodigy Academy. The entire venue erupts. Former mockers are left ashamed and stunned. A noble elder steps up, lifting Xiao Nan easily and judging him a rare willpower worthy of 4 peaks approval. He pours spiritual power like a flood to heal him, careful of side effects while Xiao Nan grimaces in pain. The system coldly reports all transferred spiritual ki instantly deducted. The elder is shocked. Xiao Nan's dantian is an endless abyss. Seeing the alerts, Xiao Nan worries his hard-earned gains are vanishing. He quickly steps back, claiming his physique only self-absorbs ki, prompting the elder to withdraw and understand. The elder grows emotional, believing Xiao Nan has a rare destined physique, while Xiao Nan remains confused. Though aching all over, he stands tall, stubborn and unyielding. Suddenly, Xiao Nan freezes at the sight before him. Below the stage, students cheer wildly, idolizing him and begging for cultivation tips. Surrounded by admiration, Xiao Nan blushes and reminds himself to stay humble. He barely controls the system. He modestly claims it was luck, and that being used to beatings made the puppet underperform. When asked if the puppet scales with stronger foes, Xiao Nan awkwardly confirms with a strained smile. Another girl solemnly points out the 4 peaks phenomenon is ultra-rare, making Xiao Nan stutter in embarrassment. He shoots a pleading look at the elder and rambles that the sect used him to showcase fairness, even forcing the elder to confirm. The elder's stern reply nearly makes Xiao Nan faint, prompting frantic eye signals for rescue. Catching the hint, the elder hastily agrees with everything, and the crowd buys it wholesale, gossiping about Xiao Nan's fate and status. Xiao Nan looks gratefully at the elder, who in turn is moved by the boy's maturity. The more he thinks, the more the elder praises Xiao Nan's rare sense of responsibility. At the peak of hype, Qian Duodu suddenly suggests Xiao Nan transfer to his class. The sudden invite shocks Xiao Nan speechless. Recovering, he proposes a duel. If he loses to the puppet and Qian Duoduo, he'll gladly be the underling. Qian Duodu hesitates, unusually thoughtful. While he privately calls Xiao Nan a stubborn monster, 2 others mock him for mistaking toughness for talent. Jiba casts a disdainful glance and snorts, asserting dominance. Xiao Nan casually waves hello, which only irritates him more. Jiba lectures about a cultivator's grand mission, criticizing Xiao Nan's lack of ambition. Unfazed, Xiao Nan internally laughs it off and lets Qian Duodu take the spotlight. He lightly provokes Qian Duoduo, who roars acceptance, blindly confident in his cultivation. The sky turns golden, birds circling as if witnessing a destined showdown. The puppet lazily strikes and Qian Duodu takes the full hit. He drops flat motionless. Xiao Nan calmly sits down, poking him with a twig to check if he's still breathing. Half pitying, half mocking, he notes comparing endurance with him as suicide. Elsewhere, Jibai and the other 3 are also brutally beaten, realizing they're far below Xiao Nan. Despite defeat, they save face by blaming inferior foundations. Surrounded by sarcasm, Xiao Nan's spirit only tempers further. He grits his teeth, vowing to repay this humiliation someday. Suddenly, a radiant sword descends from the sky. An old man appears, opens a light gate, and announces cave allocation based on results. Entering, everyone gasps at floating islands and a glowing ancient tree midair. The disciples stare in awe and envy at the luminous spirit tree, knowing it's beyond reach. Seizing the moment, Jiba asks about the tree's origin and its link to cave allocation, prompting eager explanation. The elder explains all De Luo peak spirit veins converge at the golden spirit tree. The closer the cave, the richer the kie. Xiao Nan asks what if someone claims the tree itself, learning none have been acknowledged in 500 years. Hearing that, Xiao Nan prays the system won't drag him into chaos, he just wants peace. Qian Duodu sneers it's a place for geniuses only. Xiao Nan responds with a cold glance. The elder begins allocation, calling names to receive command tokens. Golden halos fly from the spirit tree, spinning like selection signals. One halo suddenly shoots straight at Xiao Nan, leaving him stunned. The elder is astonished. The dormant tree actively chose Xiao Nan, just like the 4 peaks omen. Xiao Nan cautiously touches the golden leaf and asks what it is. The elder declares that the golden spirit tree key Xiao Nan, its new master, driving the disciples mad with jealousy. Urged to accept the reward, Xiao Nan awkwardly tries to pass, claiming his talent is trash tier. The elder insists the spirit tree never misclicks, forcing Xiao Nan to accept the lucky break. The elder reassures them that monthly exams redistribute resources, but anyone below 9th stage spirit power after a year gets kicked out. The warning chills the disciples. Qian Duoduo smirks smugly while Xiao Nan responds with pure indifference. Xiao Nan knows all eyes are on him. Fail the exams and his bright opportunity turns pitch black. Jiba takes the chance to ask whether future training is locked inside personal caves. The elder flashes a token revealing countless secret realm models, saying disciples may choose training grounds freely. He stresses many realms are brutally dangerous and warns them not to trade progress for their lives. Hearing that, Xiaonan cooks up a reckless plan target toxic places other cultivators avoid to exploit his system. The elder ends the distribution meeting and tells everyone to return to their caves. The disciples disperse one by one, like chicks hurrying back to their nests. Xiaonan relaxes on his bed, secretly cultivating as his spiritual energy rises slightly. Once calm, he begins suspecting the strange events feel like an invisible hand arranging things. The thought makes Xiaonan suddenly sit up in alarm. He loudly challenges the unseen watcher, startling two women observing him through a crystal ball far away. The two confirm Xiaonan cannot see them, yet marvel at his unexpectedly sharp spiritual sense. One decides to approach him directly, while Xiaonan circles his room and concludes he was just being paranoid. Xiaonan opens his system panel and realizes his improved but still far from true genius standards. Seeing the stats, he knows he must speed up if he wants to pass the upcoming assessment. He decides to prioritize finding a secret realm perfectly suited to his cultivation mechanics. Xiaonan focuses and starts scanning the list of secret realms. 7-star cave appears 18 layers dedicated to mastering subtle sword Dao. The Supreme Sword Tower shows 99 floors that unlock potential, but it doesn't quite suit him. Next on the list appears Fengyan Lake. Though there are many realms, most offer him only mediocre growth. Finally, he notices Magma Gale Ridge, a lava-filled toxic realm deadly to normal cultivators. Xiaonan instantly marks it as his personal paradise. Decision made, he jumps off the bed, grabs his token, and heads out to scout immediately. Meanwhile, the two women continue watching with great interest. Wu Bingyan suggests moving first, while Feng Jingxiu notices Xiaonan is already on the move. Bingyan springs up, realizing Mo Li is currently at Zhong drinking alone. Near the lakeside, Xiaonan accidentally arrives and witnesses something he absolutely shouldn't. His face turns red. He only came to splash water on his face, not handle this level of chaos. Mola's cheeks are flushed, wine jug in hand, looking both fairy and carefree. Xiaonan frantically apologizes in his head while trying to look calm outside. Suddenly, Mo Li tosses the wine jug straight at him, forcing Xiaonan to catch it reflexively. She teasingly asks if he wants to drink with her. Xiaonan is stunned. This reaction is nothing like what he expected. He opens the jug and takes a bold, heroic gulp. Seconds later, the burning wine nearly makes him breathe fire, while Mo Li bursts into laughter. She openly praises his amusing reaction. Xiaonan becomes completely lost in her captivating gaze, forgetting why he came here. His mind drifts wildly as he marvels at the overwhelming aura of the moment. Mo Li steps closer, lifts his chin with a finger, and smiles while praising the young man's drinking guts. Xiaonan freezes, internally panicking while outwardly looking like a stunned statue. She leans in even further, her actions growing increasingly bold. Xiaonan staggers and falls to the ground, left staring at the sky in pure tragic disbelief. The alcohol kicks in, making Xiaonan dizzy and red-faced as he stammers that the wine hits like a truck. He struggles to stay rational, awkwardly claiming he has a lightweight and should retreat. Before he can escape, Mo Li suddenly collapses onto him without warning. The unexpected impact rattles Xiaonan's mind like a thunderclap. Completely helpless, Xiaonan is pinned flat onto the ground. Stuttering nervously, he suggests it's late and she should probably go rest. Mo Li pretends to feel cold and cheekily asks him to warm her, making Xiaonan blush and insists she's clearly drunk. Taking advantage, she plants a quick kiss on his cheek without the slightest hesitation. Xiaonan's mind trembles violently, yet he clings to self-control, fearing future consequences. Meanwhile, Mo Li secretly smirks. Inside, this whole encounter was part of her plan. The two women watching from afar fume, convinced Mo Li has crossed the master-disciple boundary. Even in this dangerous moment, Xiaonan stubbornly holds his ground. His hand moves, yet he carefully avoids crossing the line. Xiaonan tactfully returns the wine jug and politely suggests she drink more to stay warm. Mo Li freezes in surprise, realizing Xiaonan's self-control far exceeds expectations. Curious, she asks why a Remen disciple like him is wandering in such a remote place. Xiaonan sighs and says he came to investigate the secret realm Yanyu Gangfeng. Internally, he groans that the situation has derailed far from the normal cultivation script. Mo Li turns serious and warns the place is filled with poison and scorching winds, suicide with his current cultivation. Across 3 separate points on the vast map, a strange coincidence quietly unfolds. 3 women simultaneously reach the same conclusion: this guy might genuinely be insane. Xiaonan's system suddenly pops up a notification like an invisible midnight slap, granting him extra mental points. Stunned, Xiaonan wonders why the reward is absurdly high and triggered 3 times, suspecting 3 people just cursed him mentally. Across from him, Mo Li regains clarity and concludes her earlier confession overwhelmed a rookie, bluntly advising him to withdraw. Like a magic trick, Xiaonan suddenly grabs Mo Li's wrist and flips the situation. Pinning her down with blazing eyes, he delivers half-joking dramatic lines that leave Mo Li too shocked to react. Instead of answering directly, Xiaonan speaks in a low, enchanting tone, leaving Mo Li flushed and emotionally shaken by the bold move. At the peak moment, he suddenly releases her and walks away without hesitation, leaving a heavy sense of whiplash. Beneath the starry sky, Xiaonan solemnly declares his grand dream to devote himself to the prosperity of the sword sect. Hearing this, Mo Li just stares blankly, privately wondering if her master misjudged fate. Despite the absurdity, she still points him toward the dangerous entrance, indulging his strange ambition. As Xiaonan walks away, he wonders why she stopped looking at him, confused by the unpredictable reaction. Muli isn't moved at all and even pats his back, joking that he should prepare a coffin first. Not bothering to argue, Xiaonan leaves quickly, deciding he must grow stronger before dealing with this dangerous senior sister. Muli stays where she is, silently watching his figure disappear. Casually, she secretly attaches a small gird to Xiaonan without him noticing. Then Muli covers her mouth and chuckles, her smile carrying mysterious intentions. When Xiaonan reaches the gate of Yanyu Gangfeng, he sees scorched cultivators collapsed from the brutal heat. After hearing the stories, Xiaonan widens his eyes as alarm bells scream in his head. Yet the moment they finish talking, he charges straight inside like someone chasing him. The three watchers behind him freeze, staring as if their brains just got smeared with mustard. Xiaonan crosses the boundary of Yanyu Gangfeng, officially entering the forbidden zone. Before him unfolds a living hell, lava surging, volcanoes roaring, and the world painted in deadly red. Completely opposite to normal reactions, Xiaonan is thrilled, treating the deadly realm like his personal nutrition buffet. System notifications explode nonstop as wind, fire, and poison crazily boost his attributes and cultivation foundation. Soaking in the deadly zone, Xiaonan feels like he's in a luxury hot spring while daydreaming about future world domination. Just as he's lost in fantasy, a shocked voice behind him questions his suicidal stunt. Xiaonan turns back, grinning as he admits his cultivation is weak, but the place oddly feels great. The three people facing him are utterly stunned, unable to process what they just heard. Two men decide to leave him to his fate, but the girl hesitates, unwilling to watch a fellow disciple die. She returns and hands Xiaonan a fire-attributed spirit orb to warn him about the surrounding fire poison. She explains how to detect danger, while Xiaonan happily accepts it and politely thanks her. Immediately afterward, she casts a flame protection technique, declaring she'll help shield him for a while. The system instantly pops up a ridiculously long notice listing numerous temporary debuffs on Xiaonan's body. After reading it, Xiaonan turns pale and shouts angrily, feeling like all his benefits just got wiped out. The girl calmly explains it's a protective technique meant to save lives, not letting him die young in Yanyu. Inside, Xiaonan is speechless and secretly vows he will absolutely not thank her. She leaves like the wind, while Xiaonan stands alone in the poison sea, realizing bitterly he was protected by being nerfed everywhere. He consoles himself that at least he gained a fire poison detector and can scout the most hellish areas. With that thought, Xiaonan releases the fire spirit orb into the air. The orb instantly shines bright yellow like an alarm siren, guiding him toward the densest fire poison. Upon arrival, his body is swallowed by a crimson sea of fire poison, beautiful but hot enough to self-roast. Unexpectedly, the system activates again as fire poison and windfire energy violently boost his stats. Xiaonan begins doubting the true nature of the spirit orb, confused why it triggers such intense reactions. Ignoring the mystery, he keeps flying along the direction the orb indicates. Before long, he stops abruptly and stares upward in shock. A strange ancient door quietly appears before him. He lands, walks over, and casually pushes the door open like entering a dorm room. Instantly, a corpse drops out with a thud, making Xiaonan swear in reflexive shock. After calming down, he realizes the person has long been dead and isn't about to rise and bite him. Xiaonan wonders if the unlucky guy died from fire poison or from curiosity about that door. He compares fate. Others without a system open loot boxes and die while he opens them and gets buffs. Suddenly, blazing red light erupts like a noon sun bursting into the enclosed space. The crimson glow spreads wildly like red ink splashing everywhere. Standing amid the toxic center, Xiaonan keeps gaining stats like hitting the jackpot and finally understands why the previous owner died. His gaze lands on a red stone in the center, radiating terrifying fire poison. Curiosity wins and Xiaonan reaches out to touch the stone. With the slightest contact, deadly fire poison surges back while his stats spike sharply. Xiaonan throws his head back, laughing as pleasure spreads through his body like cells being refined by supreme elixirs. The system announces multiple breakthroughs, convincing Xiaonan the red stone is a supreme treasure that could launch him to the top. While lost in invincible fantasies, his body suddenly shows abnormal signs. A brutal backlash hits, making Xiaonan cough blood and collapse without understanding why power turned against him. The system immediately reports severe fire damage but grants him fire resistance and a physique specialized against fire poison. The deep crimson poison keeps spreading, engulfing the surrounding space. More fire damage strikes, yet his fire resistance stats continue rising in exchange. Xiaonan realizes the growth has exceeded what his body can handle, continue and hell literally explode. Recognizing the danger, he quickly lets go and throws the red stone away like a live grenade. He slams the door shut, secretly grateful he sobered up before turning into anonymous ashes. Once out of the toxic core, the system notifications calm down, and Xiaonan realizes his upgraded physique now dampens the fire poison's effect. He decides to stop for today and come back better prepared to farm more gains. With that, Xiaonan promptly leaves the human-sized furnace behind. On the way out, he suddenly notices a strange gourd attached to him with no clue where it came from. At the exit, he runs into Moli waiting there, both surprised the other is still around. Moli beams brightly, pretends concern, and casually asks Xiaonan to take off his clothes for inspection. Xiaonan blushes furiously, reacting like an honest man asked to cross a scandalous line. Moli calmly explains it's just a safety check since Yanyu is full of dangerous fire poison. Gritting his teeth, Xiaonan agrees. Consoling himself, has done nothing wrong as he starts undressing. As his robe falls away, an unbelievably well-balanced and toned physique is revealed. Broad shoulders and solid muscles make any onlooker want to sprint to the gym immediately. Standing beside him, Molly's eyes shine as she silently celebrates results beyond expectation. She steps closer to examine him by hand, confirming not only zero harm but perfect fusion with fire poison. Molly grows certain this is the anomalous physique foretold by the patriarch. Meanwhile, Xiaonan grows increasingly tense, feeling this woman's behavior is highly suspicious. Suddenly, he swats her hand away. Molly stumbles, disbelief flashing in her eyes at his abrupt reaction. Xiaonan pulls his clothes back on and coldly questions her true identity, throwing Molly into inner panic. He points at the suspicious object, accusing her of secretly attaching it to monitor him. Molly hurriedly denies it, explaining it's just a gourd containing a strand of her divine soul for emergency protection. Still doubtful, Xiaonan deliberately fiddles with the gourd like inspecting a faulty gadget. The action instantly triggers an oddly intense reaction from Molly. Alarmed, Xiaonan asks what's wrong while she struggles to compose herself and claims she's fine. Molly weakly demands he return the gourd immediately, but Xiaonan intentionally refuses. He continues kneading the gourd as if playing with dough. Molly becomes overstimulated at once, crying out miserably. Furious and embarrassed, she admits internally that his actions feel like directly touching her. Xiaonan sternly demands she clarify her true intentions. Molly pants and tells him to come closer so she can whisper. Curious, Xiaonan leans in, waiting for the secret. Unexpectedly, she strikes and knocks him flat to the ground. Molly pins him down with imposing flair while Xiaonan panics, gasping that he's about to suffocate. He quickly surrenders, hurriedly admitting fault and fear. Molly thinks that if Xiaonan weren't the one from the patriarch's prophecy, she'd have punched him into the afterlife already. She retrieves the gourd and coldly warns that he won't die so easily. Molly reminds Xiaonan to rest early and prepare for tomorrow's opening lecture. Xiaonan coughs and mutters that this woman is fierce and absurdly energetic. The next morning at Jiaozi Academy, classes officially begin. Amid attentive disciples, Xiaonan sits drowsy from lack of sleep, while the system rewards him with spiritual energy for laziness. An old instructor calling himself Instructor New appears, loudly introducing himself as the students greet in unison. He explains cultivation requires both talent and willpower, and today's topic is elemental spirit energy restraint. Sweeping the room, Instructor New spots Xiaonan dozing and immediately suspects disrespect. Xiaonan politely denies it while secretly maintaining peak laziness to keep the system buffs flowing. Qianduodu and other disciples seize the chance to mock him as trash unworthy of Jiaozi Academy. Furious, Instructor New points at Xiaonan and declares he'll show him the real gap between genius and slacker. Checking records and seeing Xiaonan has a wood spiritual root, Instructor New maliciously calls the fire element disciples to step forward. Many students whisper that New Jiaoxi plans to use real fire element combat to humble Xiaonan. Suddenly, a muscular brute slaps Xiaonan's shoulder and coldly declares himself the chosen opponent. Xiaonan looks up, recognizes the man, and his face darkens with caution. The crowd erupts after realizing it's Taishang Shishan, a 9th stage spirit power expert. Everyone assumes Xiaonan is doomed. Xiaonan locks eyes with Yao Jiaoxi, who's grinning like someone waiting for a tragic show. He points at the opponent and questions the fairness of an instructor fighting a disciple, silently regretting chasing buffs into trouble. The remark enrages Yao Jiaoxi, who roars about disrespect and releases pressure that nearly suffocates Xiaonan. To appear fair, Yao Jiaoxi declares both sides' cultivation will be sealed to the same level. In the arena, Xiaonan and Taishang face each other, tension stretched like a drawn bowstring. Yao Jiaoxi sneers and claims 4th stage should match Xiaonan's level. But Xiaonan's spiritual power erupts, shocking him it's already 5th stage. Yao Jiaoxi instantly casts a sealing technique, golden light flashing as he sets the match at 5th stage. The seal descends, forcing both fighters to remain at 5th stage spirit power. Taishang ignites fiery aura, declaring no mercy and trusting fire's natural advantage over wood. He unleashes a domineering fire punch, charging forward like a blazing meteor. The crowd panics seeing a killing move right at the start, convinced Xiaonan can't survive it. Even Yao Jiaoxi hesitates, worried the attack may be too brutal for a new disciple. As the punch nears Xiaonan's body, the moment teeters on explosive impact. Yao Jiaoxi prepares to intervene, but the Grand Elder stops him, ordering him to keep watching. Obeying outwardly, Yao Jiaoxi secretly rejoices at letting Xiaonan taste defeat. Contrary to expectations, Xiaonan stands still like a statue, not dodging the incoming blow. The instant the punch lands, golden light bursts out and blasts Taishang backward. Amid the dust, the defeated man bitterly concludes luck cannot defeat real strength. A calm voice cuts through the smoke, shocking Taishang, because Xiaonan still sounds perfectly fine. Xiaonan casually dusts off his clothes and coldly mocks the attack as too weak to be called a killing move. He taunts his opponent while the system triggers multiple buffs that make his body absurdly durable. The arena and instructors fall silent upon realizing Xiaonan can fuse 5-element spirit energy without fire-suppressing wood. Xiaonan sarcastically criticizes Taishang's ruthless attack, secretly knowing the system saved his life. Taishang stands stunned, unable to understand how Xiaonan tanked the punch unharmed, while Xiaonan lightly apologizes for disappointing him. Surging wood's spiritual power erupts as Xiaonan signals a counterattack and tells Taishang to brace himself. The moment he finishes speaking, his body vanishes as if dissolving into thin air. Taishang turns pale in horror after losing all trace of his opponent. In a flash, Xiaonan appears beside him and slams a palm into his abdomen with beast-like force. He follows with a brutal kick to the chest, completely crushing his opponent. The spectators explode with shock after witnessing Xiaonan defeat Tai Shang. Stepping on the fallen fighter, Xiaonan coldly mocks his strength and ridicules the crowd's narrow judgment. The instructor is forced to view Xiaonan differently, suspecting hidden genius behind the lazy aid. Xiaonan privately celebrates his fire-poisoned tyrant body. Without it, the result would have been reversed. The thought makes him clench his fists, barely hiding his excitement. He even provokes the instructor by calling Tai Shang a fake product, stabbing straight into Yao Jiaxi's pride. The disciples avoid eye contact while Yao Jiaxi suppresses anger, reluctantly praising Xiaonan and lecturing everyone about retreating before stronger foes. After concluding, Yao Jiaxi straightens his robes and announces class dismissed, leading students to the Kanjing Pavilion to choose cultivation techniques. Feng Jingxiu excitedly notes Xiaonan absorbed fire energy, while Bingyan and Mo Li analyze that he possesses a special physique with extraordinary foundation. The four secretly agree to take Xiaonan as a direct disciple, but Mo Li reminds them the pact demands fair competition. Bingyan suggests hiding their identities and letting skill decide the winner, and Mo Li instantly agrees. The four exchange glances, silently deciding this contest will be a battle of schemes. The next morning, new disciples gather before the Kanjing Pavilion as Yao Jiaxi announces 3 strict taboos for choosing techniques. He stresses that techniques depend on fate and forbids fighting over them. The disciples respond in unison. With a signal, he opens the grand doors, and mystical light spills out from the pavilion. On the first floor, the disciples are awestruck by the solemn vastness and nervous at the silhouettes on upper levels. Xiaonan and the other newcomers are stunned by the scale far beyond imagination. From behind, Qian Duodu shoves Xiaonan aside, loudly claiming first dibs on destiny. In contrast, Jiba Meidong calmly boasts knowledge of the collection and vows to find an earth-tier technique, annoying Xiaonan by sticking close. Towering shelves packed with dusty manuals radiate ancient weight and history. Walking through, Xiaonan sighs that this ocean of techniques makes finding a good one ridiculously hard. Skimming bizarre titles mixing romance and mechanics, he randomly grabs one and is shocked the pavilion stocks such chaotic stuff. He can only bitterly admit this place is a treasure vault of pure weirdness. Mid-observation, he suddenly pauses as a strange intuition flickers in his mind. The sensation of being watched sends chills down Xiaonan's spine, sweat pouring uncontrollably. Looking around, he spots a white-haired girl by a shelf and recognizes the icy senior sister from before. He immediately dismisses the thought, assuming someone so aloof wouldn't notice him. Still, he shoots her an uneasy glance, silently grumbling about that intense stare. The girl, Wu Yan, speaks first, and they exchange polite words about choosing techniques. Wu Yan secretly weighs the timing to pass on a sword cannon, while Xiaonan discreetly admires her cold yet stunning beauty. Suddenly, she snatches the book in his hand and sternly asks if that's his chosen technique, making Xiaonan panic. Before he can explain, she reads aloud its embarrassingly suggestive title. Wu Yan's face flushes red, her thoughts spiraling as she misinterprets it as a hint about her identity and feelings. She sinks into shy confusion while Xiaonan stands clueless about her strange reaction. The system abruptly announces increased favorability in exchange for reduced mental points. Xiaonan nearly coughs blood, baffled at how favorability rose for no reason. Before he recovers, Wu Yan stiffly stuffs another book into his hands. Xiaonan asks about it, and Wu Yan calmly says she saw his battle and believes this technique suits him. Opening the cover, the imposing words sword cannon radiate ancient domineering aura. He flips to the first page, beginning to absorb its contents. In his sea of consciousness, countless sword shadows overlap as sword light floods his divine sense. Xiaonan is shocked by its power as green spiritual energy erupts, forming mysterious eye-shaped light. Wu Yan softly warns him to keep it secret and reveals she used illusion arts to shield his safe departure. Xiaonan bows solemnly, sincerely expressing gratitude. When he closes the book, he finds its title has changed to Great Wind Sword Art. Leaving the pavilion, Xiaonan speculates about the technique's extraordinary origin and wonders why the icy senior sister helped him. He even entertains the absurd idea that he has some special physique attracting her assistance. Outside, he hears disciples crowding Jiba, marveling that he found a rare earth-tier technique. Jiba confidently displays his prize in earth-tier low-grade art, acting humble while clearly bragging. Yao Jiaxi praises Jiba, commending his talent and urging him to cherish the opportunity. Then the instructor suddenly calls Xiaonan forward, demanding to inspect the technique he selected. Caught off guard, Xiaonan panics inside, fearing the illusion will be exposed and doom will follow. Despite his nerves, he respectfully presents the Great Wind Sword Art with both hands. The moment Yao Jiaxi sees the title, he looks disappointed, mocking it as merely yellow-tier mid-grade, sparking harsh ridicule. Amid the jeers, the system rewards Xiaonan's soul power, and he calmly argues that cultivation values suitability over rank. His mature reasoning makes Yao Jiaxi reassess him, even nodding at his refusal to chase status. Yet the instructor bluntly calls his talent average and advises diligent practice before returning the manual. Taking the book back, Xiaonan bows politely, forcing a smile to hide his mixed emotions. Only after the instructor leaves does he exhale, feeling like he escaped a catastrophe. Night falls swiftly, the bright moon casting serene silver light over the sword sect. Back in his room, Xiaonan studies the sword cannon and realizes his current foundation allows him to train the first move. He opens the system panel to review all his stats: cultivation, foundation, and soul. Comparing requirements, he notes even within the sword sect few could master the full set, boosting his confidence in the system's edge. Lying down with the manual on his chest, he relaxes as the system begins auto-enhancing comprehension of the first sword move. Meanwhile, at Bingyun's residence, she observes Xiaonan through a spirit stone, curiosity clear in her eyes. Seeing him lying still in the projection, Bingyun doubts whether he is truly cultivating. Suddenly spotting something unusual, she grows alert, sensing serious trouble. When Xiaonan shifts into meditation and spiritual power flows, the title sword cannon on the book hits her eyes. Realizing the truth, Bingyun's expression turns icy as she concludes Wu Yan made the first move with cunning tactics. Fearing Xiaonan might develop heart demons from forced practice, she retracts the spirit stone and rushes to stop him. At that very moment, the system announces Xiaonan's breakthrough to 6th-stage spirit power and full mastery of the first sword move, with massive stat boosts. Waking in his room, Xiaonan rejoices at both breakthrough and success, yet notices his foundation struggling to keep up. Gazing at the moon, he decides to enter Yanyu Gufeng Cave to temper his foundation and test the sword's might. The thought barely forms before his body moves. Soon, Xiaonan stands before Yanyu's gate, seeing no one around and deeming it perfect for training. Just then, Bingyun arrives and spots his familiar figure, her gaze darkening. As she questions his reckless entry, she suddenly hears other disciples shouting warnings. Following the noise, Bingyun sees 3 disciples rushing over in panic. But by the time they arrive, Xiaonan has already entered, his figure swallowed by scorching haze. Taizhen stops at the cave entrance, eyes gloomy, grinding his teeth in vengeance for Taizhong. He coldly orders pursuit and charges into Yanyu Gafeng Cave with his men. Bingyun recognizes Taizhen as an outer disciple at 3rd-level key refinement, worrying Xiaonan has provoked trouble. Inside the realm, Xiaonan takes out the gifted strange stone, its radiant glow lighting the dark space. Clutching it, he advances toward the core, each step burning as the system reports damage while fire stats, foundation, and spirit power surge. Realizing the danger exceeds his endurance, he abandons testing the stone further to avoid self-destruction. In the silent void, Xiaonan hears faint footsteps and suspects his being followed. Without hesitation, he retreats, prioritizing safety. Almost simultaneously, Taizhen and his group arrive at the spot Xiaonan just left, fire poison still lingering. 2 underlings turn pale from toxic invasion and try to advise caution, but Taizhen brushes them off, insisting on solo pursuit. Activating a movement technique, white wings manifest behind Taizhen, his aura like a predatory bird descending. He flapped his wings and shot into the inner cave like lightning with a caffeine boost. Even after chasing through layers of poison gas, Taizhen lost track of Xiaonan and grew suspicious. Right then, Xiaonan popped up behind him and slashed with a sneaky burst of sword ki. Taizhen barely dodged, and the two dove into a brutal fight while he yelled about Xiaonan's dirty tricks. After clashing hard, they split apart, and Xiaonan realized Taizhen was Taishang's big brother. Taizhen erupted with killing intent, purple-black power surging as a giant claw lunged at Xiaonan. The blow crashed down Xiaonan blocked with his sword, but the force nearly shattered his arm bones. Fear crept in as he realized he was no match for a key-refining cultivator. Taizhen sneered at Xiaonan's recklessness and unleashed a full-power, kill-shot palm strike. A cataclysmic blast flooded the secret realm with dark energy, smoke so thick both vanished from sight. Xiaonan was blasted into a cliff, carving a crater and bleeding everywhere while his system calmly boosted his stats, proving he had underestimated the gap. Amid the agony, he regretted not finishing his enemy earlier, not the loss itself. Hovering above, Taizhen arrogantly vowed to repay his suffering 100-fold. Facing that rage, Xiaonan secretly hoped for even harder hits as long as they weren't fatal. Free gains awaited. While Taizhen ranted about revenge, he noticed Xiaonan wasn't even listening and screamed for attention. Mid-roar, Taizhen dived like a falling missile, promising to show him real hell. He combined steel eagle claws with meteor-like punches, the wind pressure howling violently. Xiaonan took a heavy hit before dodging, slammed into the ground yet quietly celebrated meeting a walking EXP farm. Wiping mud and blood from his face, he looked up and beckoned mockingly for more. That cocky gesture drove Taizhen insane, cursing Xiaonan for courting death. Furious, Taizhen shot forward like an arrow, intent solely on killing him. A savage tiger-like palm struck Xiaonan's chest, leaving him dizzy, but the system happily added stats. Without pause, Taizhen followed with a thunderous kick, and as points poured in, Xiaonan's physique broke through to 6th grade. Seeing Xiaonan motionless, a lackey clapped and bragged that boss always ends it in one move. Yet from the rubble, Xiaonan slowly stirred and sat up, making Taizhen's eyes bulge in disbelief. Covered in blood, Xiaonan grinned proudly and mocked whether Taizhen was already tired. Taizhen was baffled that his 10,000 Jin strike felt like a tickle, even suspecting Xiaonan was built to be beaten, until a minion suggested using a formation to grind him down. Taizhen silently agreed, and the subordinate cast a spell, tossing out a talisman to activate it. In moments, a small radiant formation formed, pale green energy spiraling tightly around Xiaonan. As it ran, the system spammed fake debuff alerts that were actually massive boosts to cultivation speed, spirit absorption, and stamina. Watching his stats skyrocket like a flood, Xiaonan rejoiced at finding the ultimate growth hack. Seeing him unmoving, the others mocked him, thinking he was fully restrained. Xiaonan nodded as if resigned, but inside he was ready, spirit power brimming enough to test his senior sister's sword art. He slowly raised one finger, pointing at the dark sky. With a thunder shout, golden spirit power surged upward, forming a massive vortex. Xiaonan decisively activated the first stance of the sword cannon. Golden spirit power exploded into a raging storm, blasting debris and people away, Taizhen included, swept off in terror. Not stopping there, Xiao Nan unleashed the second strike, sword intent slicing space like a descending dragon. Taizun trembled, instincts screaming that this sword was leagues beyond his understanding. He stared in despair, unable to accept the overwhelming gap. The sword light fell like a meteor, cleaving Taizun in two, his blood and grudges spilling beneath a weaker cultivator. His two halves hit the ground, cold and forever silent. Xiao Nan turned to the last two, smirking if they wanted another swing, sending them fleeing in panic. When silence returned, Xiao Nan dropped to his knees, panting against his sword as sweat poured like rain. Gritting his teeth, he wondered what kind of monster Bang Shan was. One move nearly drained his enhanced body dry. Vision fading, he felt his life force guttering like a dying candle, doubting he'd survive this deadly lair. As he collapsed, a moonlit figure appeared just in time, Bing Yun rushing in to catch him, worry unusually clear. She helped him sit, her gaze no longer icy but calm, even impressed. Softly, she realized he had grasped the sword cannon's essence in a single move. His insight shocked her, and she felt relieved she arrived in time, or had have perished in the poison. With a faint smile, she teased that if he understood the sword cannon, her key refining art should scare him. Midnight hung under a high moon, the world steeped in deep silence. Xiao Nan slowly awoke, blurry-eyed, briefly thinking he'd reached paradise. A hoarse breath escaped as he lay still, piecing together memories before blacking out. A gentle call pulled him back, seeing Bing Yun. He realized he'd been saved and thanked her respectfully. She pressed him down, scolding his midnight recklessness, while he awkwardly claimed he was testing a new technique in the secret realm. Watching closely, Bing Yun sensed Xiao Nan was far more guarded than he appeared. Lifting his chin, she said that method was mere basics and hinted she had something far superior if he dared. Before she finished, Xiao Nan sprang up and pushed her away, flightly declaring zero interest, stunning her. Bing Yun was left puzzled. That reaction was not in her script. Calmly, Xiao Nan said he doesn't take freebies, knowing great techniques carry strings, and politely refused. Without warning, Bing Yun grabbed his ear and twisted hard, making him yelp before he could react. Twisting away, she declared he'd train this manual whether he liked it or not, while the system coldly logged more foundation points. Groaning, Xiao Nan joked about her intense tastes, earning an even sharper retort. She wielded the life-saving favor as leverage, twisting harder until he surrendered and agreed to hear the terms. Internally, he chose patience for now, curious how powerful this manual truly was. Seeing him nod, Bing Yun stuffed the book into his hands, the stellar flame key refining art, ordering nightly lessons at Hongchen Peak. Xiao Nan paled, imagining endless force training, though the manual's name did sound impressively high-end. Noticing his gloom, she assured him this rare opportunity would guarantee he passed next month's assessment with diligence. They haggled over training time like market vendors, Xiao Nan bargaining down, Bing Yun refusing to budge. She finalized 5 days with a threat of force, and Xiao Nan quickly agreed in fear. In that moment, Bing Yun suspected he feared slowing his sword cannon progress, which oddly irritated her even more. Right then, a messenger paper crane arrived, and her gaze subtly shifted. Bing Yun caught it, and after listening, knew the sect had urgent business. Without delay, she left, telling Xiao Nan to study first and meet her in 5 days at Hongchen Peak. Before departing, she tossed him a golden token, making Xiao Nan feel hilariously well back. He happily thought this life was basically a shortcut, like skipping decades of grinding. But staring at the manual, Xiao Nan sobered up, knowing without strength he'd be discarded sooner or later. As he read, he muttered at the brutal entry requirements: 7th grade spirit root and 6th grade auxiliary attributes just for level 1. Suddenly, a blazing red light shot out, making Xiao Nan's eyes nearly pop. His body burned as a dazzling fireball formed below, and he yelped in confusion. Within the fireball, a hazy figure slowly took shape, half illusion, half real. Looking closer, Xiao Nan froze. It looked exactly like Sutisha. A woman stepped from the vision, rose-eared spirit energy swirling around her like festival lanterns. She began a sword dance, each move precise and stunning enough to dazzle onlookers. Her sword force roared like a storm. Xiao Nan barely defended before a red beam pierced his forehead. His eyes widened in terror as his vision drowned in a sea of crimson spirit energy. The system chimed that had preliminarily grasped the first stance of the stellar flame key refining art and boosted his comprehension. Hearing that, Xiao Nan reopened the manual and focused intensely. After a long while, he closed it, eyes deep in thought. He guessed the experience was this technique's unique initiation state. Confirming its value rivaled the sword cannon, the system displayed his stats, showing major upgrades to physique and spirit roots. Holding the manual, Xiao Nan questioned the origins of the two women, but the moment he did, the system added more insight points. He smiled in satisfaction, calling this heaven-defying fortune, borrowing others' power to climb step by step. Meanwhile, in the sect's main hall, 4 women held an emergency meeting about Taichu City advancing the spring trial tournament. Bing Yun coolly analyzed that beneath the training excuse lay a silent power struggle among major factions. Another frowned, asking why the event was so sudden. An elder explained the secret realm was out of control, rogue cultivators swarming, forcing all sects to send teams. Someone noted that all 4 sects acting proved the gravity, suggesting they praise elect candidates. The elder confidently presented 8 elite disciples nearing key refining, claiming they'd make rivals wary. Bing Yun scanned the list and asked who would lead Taichu City sect, likely Nalangu heir, their unseen century prodigy. Hearing the name, Bing Yun's eyes flickered with interest. Noticing her change, an instructor curiously asked if something was wrong. Instantly icy again, Bingyun ordered a tournament in 1 week to pick the strongest 8 time to restore the sword sect's glory. Outwardly stern, she secretly wondered how Xiao Nan would react upon meeting his former fiancée. Next morning, Xiao Nan appeared at the sect gate half-asleep, like someone yanked from a sweet dream. Rubbing his eyes, he saw disciples rushing up the mountain in tense haste. Confused, Xiao Nan followed and learned an urgent assembly was called. Latecomers would be punished. Soon all disciples stood in formation at the martial plaza as the instructor barked for order. He announced that the 4 great sects discovered a new secret realm and would hold an early trial, with the sword sect selecting 8 representatives. Xiao Nan curiously asked what the sect trial was and learned it's the annual spring trial to test strength and pick talent. He nodded wisely and blurted, "Know yourself and your enemy," earning surprise praise for his clarity. The instructor added that the top 8 would represent the sword sect, and the winner would glorify their master. Xiao Nan loudly asked how dangerous this secret realm was compared to Yanyu Gaofeng. The instructor replied grimly that Qifeng Purgatory held countless opportunities, but was even deadlier. The disciples panicked, saying rookies entering would be gift-wrapping themselves for hell. Seeing them dodge like chicks in a storm, the instructor sighed and said he'd pick the top 8 new disciples if none volunteered. At peak tension, Xiao Nan stepped forward to join, thrilled that danger suited him perfectly. The instructor narrowed his eyes, mocking how Xiao Nan jumped from 5th to 6th stage spirit power overnight. Calmly, Xiao Nan asked whether the rules forbade someone in the spirit realm from signing up. The instructor admitted no such ban, but warned him not to chase fame beyond his limits. The crowd erupted in ridicule, calling him overconfident, while Xiao Nan stood silent, face stormdark. As insults flew, the system quietly activated each verbal jab, boosting his soul points. Outwardly bored, inwardly Xiao Nan was partying. Mockery was premium fuel. He fired back passionately. If everyone feared danger, who'd defend the sect when disaster struck? He vowed to win. The disciples fell silent at his momentum, while he secretly hoped for more hecklers. Even the instructor's gaze shifted from disdain to respect, admitting he had misjudged Xiao Nan's resolve. The mood ignited. Many disciples echoed that though his cultivation was low, his spirit was worth emulating. Their serious support hit Xiao Nan like a death sentence. He was stunned they actually believed him. Amid his daze, Lengqiu coldly sneered that a mere 6th-stage spirit power wasn't fit to compete. The Nanzhou host frowned and demanded the speaker's identity. Lengqiu proudly declared himself half-step Q refining, 8th among the new generation at that level. Xiao Nan coolly replied that defeating Lengqiu would grant him rightful entry. Lengqiu laughed, mocking Xiao Nan for daring to challenge with just a mid-grade sword art. Xiao Nan set the duel for a week later. Lengqiu agreed, and on Judgment Day their blue and violet spirit powers clashed before all. In the crowd, a black-haired girl frowned softly, whispering Xiao Nan's name. Past life memories flooded back. She recalled Xiao Nan annihilating her sect, killing her without hesitation, and burning Tai Chu's sacred sect to ashes. Horrified, she realized the future destroyer was the present Xiao Nan, and that she herself had been reborn. Soon after, the host declared Na Languar victorious. She drew her sword to cheers, leaving the defeated youth kneeling in gloom. Guer happily told her master she won by wielding a heaven-grade sword art, while the master quietly pondered Xiao Nan's future fame. She considered eliminating Xiao Nan early to save the sect, yet hesitated, fearing conflict with the sword sect and repeating tragedy. Noticing her master's odd silence, Guer called out with confusion. The master stepped closer and softly asked if Guer could mend her engagement with Xiao Nan, leaving her shocked and displeased at the mention of that despised name. The master secretly considered rekindling ties while Xiao Nan was still weak. What's broken can be glued back, after all. Guoni arrogantly refused, declaring once cut, forever cut, and scoffed that Xiao Nan wasn't worth naming. Patiently, the master warned to leave a retreat since Xiao Nan was once a genius, but Guoni mocked her for fearing his rise in the sword sect. Deeply insulted, the master lashed out in anger, punishing Guoni for her disrespect. Guoni immediately knelt to admit fault, outwardly obedient and remorseful. Inside, however, resentment surged, vowing never to let Xiao Nan re-enter her life. She swore a blood oath to one day personally erase Xiao Nan and bury the past. Xiao Nan appeared among the crowd like a shining star, albeit one with no clue what to do next. Arms crossed smugly, he figured no opponent could threaten him. Anyone who once lost to him or some random teen hardly mattered. Wishing for extra resources, he saw the system panel pop up, listing everything from physique to techniques and cultivation level. Remembering past pills, he smacked his head. Senior sister Loli at Yao Peak might be his next jackpot. Meanwhile, she sat dazed with a book, muttering his name and grumbling had vanished, chasing other senior sisters' teachings. Frowning, torn between anxiety and irritation, she cursed inwardly, knowing both senior and second senior sisters had taught him, fearing she'd fall behind. Just as she resolved to act, she bumped into someone, Xiao Nan himself, softly asking who she was waiting for. Seeing him, she froze, heart skipping and cheeks flushing unexpectedly. Like spotting a life raft, she rushed in and hugged him tight. Overjoyed, he finally appeared. The sudden intimacy stiffened Xiao Nan. He questioned her while internally screaming from shock and irony. Her alluring gaze made him gulp, alarm bells ringing wildly in his head. To escape the tension, he bluntly asked her purpose. She slowly retrieved a hidden gift from her sleeve. At the word treasure, Xiao Nan perked up, while she smiled mysteriously. She handed him a special scroll, saying it would help in the upcoming match. He snatched it eagerly, loudly agreeing, convinced he'd struck gold. Without delay, he opened it, eyes glued to the text. Realizing it was an alchemy art, he rejoiced at the thought of crafting his own pills. Watching his excitement, she smiled, pleased he recognized a rare chance. He then pointed to a key passage, seriously asking about refining the explosive fire pill. She carefully explained it was a dangerous pill meant as a weapon, not for casual use. Eyeing him warily, she warned of consequences if he used shady tricks in the competition. Xiao Nan hurriedly denied it, claiming it was just for self-defense and training. His true reckless intentions safely locked away. Believing him, she scheduled alchemy lessons in 3 days. He felt both thrilled and awkward about more senior sister time. That aloofness ignited Jinxia's anger, her face turning icy as she prepared to interrogate him. Boiling inside, she blamed everything on 2 vixens colluding with the senior sisters. Pressing close with threats, she forced Xiao Nan to nod, then briskly left, setting the meeting at Yao Peak. Zhang stood there gloomily, lamenting how a dignified man got toyed with by a little fox. 7 days later, atop the cloud-wrapped peak, all disciples had gathered. On the high platform, the sect master watched as the crowd buzzed about Xiao Nan's odds against Leng Qiu. Most laughed, saying the realm gap meant Xiao Nan was doomed. Leng Qiu openly mocked him for hiding in fear. Right then, Xiao Nan arrived like lightning, rushing in with a teasing grin. Landing steadily, he declared coolly that important people always show up last. Realizing he'd been played, Leng Qiu shot back with fiery insults. Leng Qiu's aura exploded, metal-attributed spirit power surging as he vowed to crush Xiao Nan. The crowd gasped at the fierce metal Kli, convinced Xiao Nan was finished. Unfazed, Xiao Nan mocked him in archaic flair for being all bark. Leng Qiu charged like an arrow, but Xiao Nan dodged by a hair. Drawing his sword, Xiao Nan's icy gaze radiated open disdain. They counterattacked simultaneously, shockwaves colliding with thunderous blasts. After several exchanges, Xiao Nan groaned as blood soaked his grip, his hold weakening. At that instant, the mysterious mechanism activated, converting injury into a major foundation boost. Pressing the advantage, Leng Qiu unleashed relentless attacks while hurling insults. Even while retreating, Xiao Nan calmly taunted him for being nothing but talk. Suddenly, blood-red aura erupted from Xiao Nan, shaking the ground. Leng Qiu froze, unable to believe such terrifying sword ki came from him. Overwhelmed by Xiao Nan's presence, Leng Qiu stepped back, suspicion stirring within. Standing tall, Xiao Nan mocked him for retreating right after boasting. Regaining composure, Leng Qiu admitted Xiao Nan had skill but insisted the gap remained vast. Xiao Nan cut him off with scornful jabs, humiliating him further. The crowd burst into laughter, agreeing Leng Qiu talked too much. The laughter sliced deep, darkening Leng Qiu's face with fury. Channeling rage into power, he erupted with spirit energy, declaring no more mercy. Xiao Nan merely sneered and urged him to begin. Mid-fight, Wu Yan suddenly turned and left, puzzling Bing Yun. She stated the outcome was set, astonished by Xiao Nan's talent, as Leng Qiu unleashed the Golden Rock Ultimate Phantom Eagle and sword rain descending. Facing the barrage, Sun Nan only smirked, utterly calm. His eyes blazed with battle intent as he casually stepped back from the incoming storm. At the critical moment, the system-activated damage converted to strength, doubling his foundation. Feeling the surge, he concluded his opponent lacked real combat prowess. Below, the crowd sensed Xiao Nan's aura sharpened like a divine blade unsheathed. On stage, his sword flowed like a deadly dance, every move hiding killing intent. The instructor trembled, realizing this was no ordinary Defeng sword art. Molly lipped up in shock. It was clearly second senior sister's sword cannon, though none knew how Xiao Nan learned it. Their frontal clash twisted space with interwoven sword ki and spirit power. Suddenly, Xiao Nan vanished, leaving Leng Qiu utterly rattled. Before he could react, Xiao Nan appeared ghost-like behind him, shouting as he raised his blade. Leng Qiu took a heavy strike from behind without time to respond. Yan Jinghong erupted like divine fire, burning him as screams echoed across the peak. Leng Qiu crashed miserably to the ground, stunning the entire arena with questions. Sheathing his sword, Xiao Nan calmly assured all that Leng Qiu was merely unconscious, no intent to kill. As Leng Qiu lay dazed, Xiao Nan coldly mocked his frailty. Turning to the crowd, Xiao Nan declared the 8th spot open. Who else dared challenge? He casually invited anyone to step onto the stage. His overwhelming aura terrified the crowd, sparking whispers he might be the strongest new disciple. On the high hall, instructors and elders debated in confusion about the origin of his sword cannon, stunned by his cross-realm prowess. After deliberation, Instructor Nu officially declared Xiao Nan the 8th representative of the Four-Sex Spring Trial. Xiao Nan bowed respectfully, while secretly planning how to replenish his drained energy. His status panel popped up, showing formidable cultivation, dual attribute spirit roots, and secret arts. The next morning, Sword Sex Peak lay shrouded in lingering mist. Xiao Nan stood cautiously outside the door, softly calling for senior sister. Hearing no reply, he stepped in, the thick scent of herbs revealing recent alchemy. Suddenly, an arm wrapped tightly around his waist from behind. Qin Shu appeared, hugging him with a soft voice that startled him. Xiao Nan quickly pried her hands off and asked where Shed been. She calmly said Shed just returned. Excitedly, Qin Shu boasted her pill furnace was nearly complete and offered to teach him beginner alchemy. Perching beside the furnace, she passionately lectured on the alchemy path. Gazing at the flames, she used the explosive fire pill to explain ingredient quality. Xiao Nan nodded eagerly, though his eyes drifted to her fair legs. Noticing, Qin Shu shot him a sharp, suspicious glance. Reading his thoughts, she leaned on the furnace and seductively asked him to help remove her shoes due to the heat. Amid hazy warmth, Qin Shu looked enchanting, while Xiao Nan stood still, face calm as autumn water. Secretly competitive, she wondered if the senior sister's old tricks could sway him. Thinking him oblivious, she soon found him blushing furiously, awkwardly clinging to propriety. Pressured under the banner of explosive fire pills, Xiao Nan reluctantly knelt to help, apologizing aloud while feeling wronged inside. When his hand touched her foot, Qinshu trembled with shy excitement, and Xiao Nan nearly smoked red. Losing control briefly, Xiao Nan slapped her thigh loudly, the sound echoing. Qinshu let out a soft cry of surprise. At that moment, the door burst open. Mo Li stormed in, roaring at them. Without wasting words, she grabbed Xiao Nan by the collar and dragged him out. Xiao Nan flailed in panic as Qinshu frowned at Mo Li's unannounced intrusion. Mo Li coldly demanded why Xiao Nan was touching Qinshu's leg. Suspecting Qinshu's identity was exposed, she threatened to report to eldest senior sister. Qinshu hurriedly covered Mo Li's mouth, insisting it was all a misunderstanding. She secretly transmitted a warning, say more, and the real secret comes out. Xiao Nan stood aside, bewildered and now suspicious Qinshu hid something. Qinshu forced calm, scrambling for an explanation. Xiao Nan quickly convinced himself it was strict sect rules and endured for the explosive fire pill's sake. Clearing his throat, he solemnly claimed he was merely treating her leg. Under Mo Li's skeptical stare, he fabricated a family wellness technique, rambling about meridian flow until both girls felt dizzy. Mo Li still doubted, but Qinshu immediately vouched for it, saying she indeed felt better. Reflecting, she realized this odd technique explained Xiao Nan's rapid post-battle recovery. Convinced, Mo Li asked him to treat her next time, and Xiao Nan gladly agreed. Suddenly changing tack, Mo Li asked Qinshu to borrow Xiao Nan for a few days. Hearing borrow, Xiao Nan felt chills, questioning his own status. Qinshu flared up, loudly objecting that Xiao Nan was her alchemy student. Mo Li mocked alchemy as dusty and useless, prompting Qinshu to fiercely defend it as cultivation's backbone. They bickered on formation arts versus alchemy, neither yielding. Caught in the middle, Xiao Nan hurried to mediate before it escalated. Unexpectedly, Mo Li pulled him to her side, boldly recruiting him to study formations. Snatched away, Qinshu roared that Xiao Nan belonged to her alchemy line. Using her height advantage, Mo Li pressed Qinshu's head down, sparking furious flailing. Just as tension peaked, a blinding golden light suddenly erupted in the room. Mo Li instantly sensed danger and shifted into a defensive stance. The alchemy furnace blew sky high, sending the trio flying like kites with snapped strings. As the smoke cleared, the post-explosion wreckage revealed itself in all its tragic glory. Staring at the debris, the three mourned their once priceless treasure. Qinshu bowed an apology for failing the violent flame pill, while Xiao Nan played the gentleman and comforted her. Suddenly, Xiao Nan's eyes lit up. Something shiny had survived the blast. He scooped up the intact pills, thrilled to find the violent flame pill had evolved into an upgraded edition. While Xiao Nan basked in joy, Mo Li leaned in and whispered, "Let's run." Without hesitation, Xiao Nan hid the pills in his robe, eyes gleaming with schemes. Mo Li grabbed Xiao Nan's hand and soared skyward, declaring a field trip to the Union Dragon Vein for education. They vanished swiftly, leaving Qinshu fuming and vowing revenge on Mo Li. Midair, Xiao Nan questioned receiving cultivation before the spring trial, and Mo Li smiled, assuring no one would snitch. Secretly, Mo Li resolved to claim Xiao Nan first amid the elders' quiet tug-of-war over him. Xiao Nan could only sigh, feeling swept into forces way above his pay grade. Under calm moonlight, they glided through the sky like immortals on a night stroll. Landing before a gloomy forest, Xiao Nan asked if this was the Union Dragon Vein. Mo Li silently ventured deeper, Xiao Nan hurrying after her with nonstop questions. She explained this was a deadly zone packed with demonic beasts and rare anomalies, far nastier than ordinary secret realms. Mo Li sternly declared only true life and death trials could squeeze out his hidden potential before the spring trial. Hearing life and death, Xiao Nan panicked, doubting his fragile 6-stage cultivation could handle it. Mo Li reassured him, promising powerful combat techniques and maybe even a realm breakthrough. As she lit a fire, Xiao Nan secretly marveled that she had seen through his cultivation issues. Sensing his hesitation, Mo Li bluntly called it a rare opportunity. After inner turmoil, Xiao Nan agreed and revealed his backfiring cultivation system. Steeling himself, he stepped forward, hoping the Union Dragon Vein would become his cultivation springboard. A gentle voice suddenly rang out, prompting Xiao Nan to look up and respond curiously. Without warning, she tossed him a large metal-patterned orb, which he caught precisely as she spoke. Holding the odd sphere, Xiao Nan asked where this mysterious gadget came from. Mo Li explained that across the 21 provinces, only a few spirit stones exist, used to refine formation cores, the backbone of any formation's power and complexity. Xiao Nan gaped, guessing it was heaven-made treasure. Mo Li calmly noted it wasn't top tier, but still a profoundly rare mystic relic. Feeling its warm spiritual glow, Xiao Nan couldn't help doubting her suspicious level of generosity. Cutting him off, Mo Li abruptly asked about Dan Woyan's sword technique training progress. Xiao Nan scratched his head sheepishly, admitting he'd barely touched the opening move. After sizing him up, Mo Li pointed at a boulder and ordered him to attack with full force, no holding back. Obediently, Xiao Nan stepped forward, solemn as if starting a grand ritual. Heat surged through him, his skin glowing red like iron in a furnace. Amid blazing light, Xiao Nan unleashed a trump card, his hand turning into a fire-forged blade. A thunderous explosion shattered the quiet night, crimson light ripping through the darkness. In a blink, the massive rock split clean in two, a deep scar marking the strike. Mo Li was inwardly stunned, finally understanding why Dan Woyan insisted on taking Xiao Nan. This kid's potential was off the charts. Xiao Nan beamed proudly, turning back for praise from his senior sister. Instead, Mo Li coolly rated it acceptable for his current realm, compliment denied. Not letting him celebrate, she flicked her finger, condensing spirit power into jade-bright green formation patterns. The structure expanded swiftly, forming a hazy protective barrier around them both. Turning to Xiao Nan, she told him to repeat the move inside the formation's range, and he nodded. On cue, he channeled power, the strange stone blazing so brightly it hurt to look at. Molly sipped from her gourd and coolly explained that formations amplify spirit power by one's foundation, most manage only a fraction. As she predicted, Xiao Nan's aura swelled wildly, crimson spirit power surging, revealing rare talent for the path of formations. At that instant, his system activated under the formation's influence, flashing paradoxical stats for spiritual energy and damage. A flood of negative alerts drained his color, shocked and furious as his power backfired. His eyes reddened, aura heavy like a war god cornered to the brink. With no hesitation, he unleashed all his strength, casting Yan Jinghong to shatter every shackle. Ironically, the strike slammed uselessly into the ground, leaving Mo Li stunned and secondhand embarrassed. Xiao Nan turned back, face crimson, stammering to explain. As he floundered, Mo Li began doubting her formation foundation, sensing his power had been unnaturally nullified. Unwilling to accept it, she rapidly deployed multiple fire element grand formations, trying to brute force a reversal. Yet every attempt failed miserably. His attacks flickered like sparks in a gale, crushing her hopes. Utterly disappointed, Mo Li slumped down, questioning how her formation craft had become a bad joke. After hesitating, Xiao Nan cautiously suggested trying a weakening-type formation, earning her shocked irritation. Seeing her dejected look, he forced a smile, saying someone of her level surely had the right formation handy. After careful thought, Mo Li agreed and chose to deploy a special formation. Channeling spirit power, a green barrier formed beneath Xiao Nan. As she explained, it suppressed the target's spiritual energy. Instantly, his system flipped the script, turning suppression into a stat explosion, skyrocketing his power beyond expectation. Thrilled, Xiao Nan shouted he'd finally found that familiar feeling again. Power gathered in his arm, dense spirit force roaring like descending thunder. Without delay, he unleashed a storm-like full-force strike at the boulder to prove his worth. The aftershock tore the earth apart, carving a deep chasm as if cleaved by divine force. Mo Li froze in disbelief, who knew a basic formation could produce such heaven-defying results. Xiao Nan boasted gleefully after his stellar display, while Mo Li watched him in unrateable silence. Composing herself, Mo Li admitted the formation test had exceeded all expectations. Without fuss, she tossed him a manual on Yuli Zhuanyun, promising deeper exploration of formation power ahead. Overjoyed, Xiao Nan accepted, envisioning a vast cultivation road, then casually asked what's next. Gazing at the horizon, Mo Li coolly replied they'd head to the Sanjiu Alliance at dawn. By sunrise, they reached Tulong Town, bustling with rogue cultivators recruiting teammates for mountain treasure hunts. Mo Li reminded Xiao Nan most here were 5th stage, and in the coming trial she wouldn't casually save him. Curious, Xiao Nan asked which alliance type to join, and Mo Li analyzed the 2 common rogue team models. She advised a temporary group once life and death struggles begin in the mountains, even sex won't interfere with justified kills. Hearing that, Xiao Nan approached a burly man to join, only to be dismissed over unverified cultivation. Slighted, Xiao Nan muttered sarcastically, clearly annoyed by the man's attitude. Skipping arguments, he smashed a heavy palm into a nearby wall, stone dust exploding, a blunt announcement of his real strength. Xiao Nan stood calmly with hands clasped, tossed out a casual question, and the cultivator paled before hurriedly agreeing. The man cautiously glanced at Mo Li behind him, asking in a low voice if she'd join too. Xiao Nan casually draped an arm over her, joking they were husband and wife, making Mo Li blush while secretly delighted. As the group ventured deeper, the system summarized Xiao Nan's stats: cultivation, physique, spirit root, and formation skills, all vastly improved. While Mo Li lounged above, Xiao Nan reviewed his gains just as a ferocious beast suddenly appeared. The leader panicked, shouting that it was an extremely dangerous 8th-grade stone python. The python lunged at terrifying speed, plunging the team into instant despair. In a blink, it snapped up an unlucky cultivator. The victim was swallowed whole, blood spraying in a grisly scene. After feeding, its cold violet eyes scanned for the next entree. Amid chaos, the leader roared for everyone to form a formation or die together. The cultivators hurriedly combined forces to restrain the beast. Unlike the others' fear, Xiao Nan's eyes gleamed. He sensed opportunity. Sword Kai erupted in his hand, spirit power compressed to the limit, blade blazing like fire. One heaven-shaking slash and the stone python's head parted ways with its body. The team stood speechless before the colossal corpse, like witnessing a living miracle. The mid-liege leader gratefully promised half the 8th-grade demon core in thanks. Suddenly, an arrogant voice rang out as a new group arrived with overwhelming presence. A handsome young man stepped forward, introducing himself loftily as Ye Wusho of Windao Valley. At once, Mo Li approached Xiao Nan with a frosty expression, clearly on guard. Xiao Nan whispered about Windao Valley. Mo Li calmly explained they coveted the four-sex trial and meant trouble. Ye Wusho narrowed his eyes, interrogating the group like he held life and death in hand. He bluntly declared his intent to kill and seize treasures, enraging the leader into charging back. Ye Wusho casually pivoted to neutralize the attack, coldly deeming the man's cultivation laughable. With contempt, he mocked the resistance as a pitiful joke. A twist of his wrist snapped the opponent's arm technique, drawing a miserable scream. After the brutal display, the victim collapsed, furious yet utterly powerless. Ye Wusho arrogantly proclaimed the strong rule life and death, demanding the demon core for his breakthrough. His spirit power flared like golden armor, overwhelming the group. They realized had reached high-level key refining. Xiao Nan's system reacted to the pressure, stats spiking and sparking his urge to test this new foe. The group leader tried rallying morale, urging strength in numbers against individual might. Ye Wuxia calmly summoned a sharp spear, standing like a monarch at the summit. One sweeping thrust unleashed violent spirit force, like a storm devouring all ahead. The man hastily raised his sword to block, clinging to his last shred of dignity. Even the aftershock made his weapon tremble. Despair hit as death loomed close. In that life-or-death instant, Xiao Nan shoved him aside and took the blow himself, body gravely wounded, blood spilling from his mouth. The system flashed critical injury warnings, then paradoxically boosted his bones and stamina. Though blasted back, Xiao Nan stayed calm, caught by the grateful yet worried middle-aged man. Ye Wuxia watched with disdain, seeing them as nothing but useless ants. Xiao Nan wiped the blood and mocked him coolly, likening him to a dog barking in the night. The insult ignited fury. Ye Wuxia ground his teeth and roared for him to repeat it. Xiao Nan didn't budge, openly mocking Ye Wuxia's brainpower with zero respect. Ye Wuxia exploded with spirit power, golden light blazing so fiercely Xiao Nan had to shield his eyes. Under that crushing pressure, the system amplified Xiao Nan's soul, pushing it to a new grade. Roaring like a beast, Ye Wuxia charged, spear dragging a golden dharma form that dominated heaven and earth. Wendao Valley disciples cheered wildly, praising Ye Wuxia's unmatched physique and destiny. Amid the noise, Xiao Nan quietly felt a thrill for collision, deciding to test his newly grasped technique. Spirit power surged, invisible dark-red flames cloaking him. Storm warning issued. The middle-aged man worried aloud, while Mo Li watched silently with razor focus. Ignoring them, Xiao Nan pushed the illusory heavenly flame, heat waves rolling through the air. A blazing palm strike erupted, aiming to suppress Ye Wuxia head-on. The result defied expectation. Ye Wuxia's eyes bulged in disbelief. He howled as the palm sent him flying, body light as a falling leaf. The crash shattered an ancient tree, the sickening crack echoing through the forest. Wendao Valley disciples panicked, shouting Ye Wuxia's name. From that moment, Ye Wuxia's disdain vanished, while Xiao Nan admitted that without the system, victory would be uncertain. The system flagged critical danger, then inversely boosted Xiao Nan's spirit energy, bones, and stamina. Kneeling and gasping, Ye Wuxia weighed the coming spring trial and ordered retreat to protect his future. Xiao Nan casually offered a sarcastic farewell, polite on the surface, sharp underneath. Before leaving, Ye Wuxia coldly vowed to repay the humiliation tenfold next time. As he withdrew, he ordered an investigation into Xiao Nan's identity, and Wendao Valley vanished into the woods. Mo Li warned that Ye Wuxia would be a formidable foe at the spring trial. Xiao Nan calmly accepted the new grudge. Xiao Nan swallowed the demon core whole, calculating that once refined, Ye Wuxia might look like child's play. The middle-aged man gratefully offered all 70 demon cores. Xiao Nan accepted with composed thanks. Mo Li said it was time to leave. Xiao Nan glanced at her and nodded. Pretending intimacy, they departed with Mo Li leaning on him like a frightened wife. Hint received, no one stopped them. Watching them fade, the cultivators couldn't help admiring Xiao Nan's loyalty and grace. On the road, Mo Li teased him about taking so many cores. His calm reply drew her sarcastic laugh. Xiao Nan lifted his chin confidently, admitting he had no shame in claiming the reward. Suddenly, he halted, clutching his chest as pain flashed across his face. At first, Mo Li frowned, thinking he was joking again. But when he coughed up blood, face pale as paper, she panicked and called his name. Xiao Nan collapsed into her arms, and Mo Li held him tight in alarm. She inwardly admitted Ye Wuxia was terrifying. Victory had come at a heavy price. Exhausted, Xiao Nan weakly asked to rest, making Mo Li both heartbroken and exasperated. She let him rest his head on her lap, gently soothing him as a special disciple's privilege. Thus Xiao Nan drifted into deep sleep, unaware of time passing. In his haze, he stirred and muttered from discomfort. Before opening his eyes, he heard Mo Li's voice looking up. The sight before him blanked his mind. Stared at too long, Mo Li blushed into anger, coldly threatening punishment if he didn't get up. Xiao Nan shot upright, face red, stammering in embarrassment. Then he noticed Mo Li's pale face and trembling body, as if about to fall. Alarmed, Xiao Nan caught her and questioned anxiously, receiving only a tired, suggestive reply. Mo Li scolded him for sleeping so well that her legs went numb, leaving Xiao Nan speechless and apologetic. She patiently explained that fighting above one's level causes severe backlash, stressing that formations were his lifeline for now. Mo Li took out a rectangular treasure, solemnly explaining that formation diagrams are nothing like ordinary techniques. She infused it with spirit power to enlarge it, telling Xiao Nan to calm his mind and grasp its operational laws to learn self-deployment. The moment she finished, Xiao Nan flopped flat onto the ground, earning her a puzzled frown. He casually claimed this was his self-invented training style, resting while comprehending formations. Right then, the system chimed that had begun mastering his first formation, comprehension points rising. Mo Li crossed her arms and watched for a long while, finally sighing in resignation. She formed hand seals, spirit power rippling, making Xiao Nan open one eye in curiosity. Mo Li shot him a glance and coolly said, "Wait and see." Soon, light flared and the earth trembled as a massive creature stepped out from the glow. Xiao Nan turned pale, trembling as he asked what on earth Shed summoned. Mo Li calmly introduced his new sparring partner, an 8th-level armored-back tiger. The tiger stared at Xiao Nan like prey. He wailed internally while Mo Li coldly insisted real combat is the true path to formation mastery. With that, she casually went off to bathe in a stream, leaving Xiao Nan pale and resentful at the lack of moral support. Alone with the beast, Xiao Nan gauged it at mid to high key refining strength, with a body far tougher than humans. He chose to treat it as a formation test dummy, channeling spirit power to provoke it into a life-or-death duel. The beast's claws slammed down with crushing force. But upon entering the formation's range, it was instantly weighed down by terrifying pressure, its aura locked tight. Seizing the moment, killing intent flared in Xiao Nan's eyes. He dashed like lightning, swordlight slicing the wind too fast to track. His thrust struck the tiger's head, yet its defense proved absurdly tough. The full-force attack only left a minor wound near its eye. Xiao Nan retreated, admitting its body was armor incarnate. Recalling Mo Li's lesson, he studied the formation flow and spotted a weakness in the right side spirit current. Before he could execute his plan, the armored-back tiger shot forward like a living cannonball, killing intent sky-high. Xiao Nan dodged swiftly, staying defensive, eyes locked on every movement. The system suddenly activated an effect, burning massive spirit energy for explosive attack power. At death's doorstep, Xiao Nan roared his vow to end it. His spirit power erupted as he launched skyward like a rocket. From above, he struck like thunder, but the beast nimbly dodged, making him laugh in exhilaration. He taunted again and dove into close combat, fists raining down, forcing the tiger into passive defense under overwhelming pressure. Everything aligned at that critical instant. Deep by a forest stream, Molly reclined on a mossy rock, looking utterly detached from worldly affairs. She suddenly opened her eyes, murmuring that Xiao Nan had struck a vital flaw. Sharp mind indeed. A strange aura swept past, instantly putting her on alert. Rushing over, she found a dragon beast choking Shu Yunjiao in a deadly grip. The restrained woman angrily questioned it, but the beast coldly treated life and death as trivial. Fearing Shu Yunjiao's demise, Mo Li intervened, pointing out the beast's chaotic state. The giant dragon tightened its grip and spat out a glowing object of unclear nature. Sensing the rapid escalation, Mo Li immediately deployed a grand formation. It erupted in an instant, star-like radiance flooding the entire space. A heaven-shaking roar sounded as Mo Li moved like the wind, arriving just in time to save her. Shu Yunjiao closed her eyes awaiting death, bitter that her rebirth had led so quickly to despair. Just as her body was about to fall, Mo Li caught her and laid her gently against a large stone. Seeing her unconscious, Mo Li briefly worried Xiao Nan might arrive and steal this disciple away. Determined otherwise, she whispered and fed Shu Yunjiao a pill. Finished, Mo Li turned and left decisively, without a trace of hesitation. Before vanishing, she softly reassured her, while elsewhere, Xiao Nan was still locked in fierce battle. The system kept pinging fire spirit, surging as cultivation leapt to 8th stage. Xiao Nan's aura erupted like a volcano. Breakthrough achieved, he proudly confirmed. He quickly calculated the edge of combining this with his mastered formation diagram. Before finishing the math, golden power gathered in his palm as he launched a killing strike. The armored-back tiger howled miserably, spirit power shattering like collapsing tides. In moments, the beast was blasted into ashes, zero resistance left. Xiao Nan exhaled in relief, reminding himself to find Mo Li fast. He set off at once, shouting for his senior sister along the way. The night forest answered with suffocating silence. After searching in vain, suspicion and irritation crept in. Suddenly, the scent of blood drifted on the wind, stopping him cold. A bad premonition struck. What if Mo Li was in danger? Without hesitation, he activated his movement technique and sped off. He halted by a massive rock, eyes scanning warily. Before him lay a dark cave. He stepped inside, calling Mo Li's name. No senior sister but Shu Yunjiao lay before him. Seeing her robe, Xiao Nan linked her to Taichu's sacred sect and his former fiancé. Just then, Shu Yunjiao slowly awoke, eyes settling on him. Recognizing his face, she gasped his name in shock. Xiao Nan blinked, utterly clueless who she meant. He stepped forward to support her, confusion written all over him. Shu Yunjiao blushed and slumped into him, murmuring that she felt cold. Her unconscious rubbing left Xiao Nan flustered and panicked inside. After a brief struggle, he told himself saving her mattered more than awkward thoughts. He gently held her to warm her. She sighed contentedly at the heat. They sat leaning together in the quiet mountain night. After a while, her fever eased and clarity returned. Once she saw him clearly, she cried out in disbelief. Xiao Nan jolted back, hurriedly explaining he meant no impropriety. Shu Yunjiao silently speculated about his identity and why he was here. Noticing her unreadable gaze, Xiao Nan feared impending blame. Instead, she smiled and thanked him for saving her life, leaving him thunderstruck. Flustered, Xiao Nan denied the credit, saying she'd already been there when he arrived. Shu Yunjiao smiled, remembering the favor, and invited him to join Taichu's sacred sect with promises of supreme arts. Xiao Nan was stunned by the offer, while she awkwardly hid her true identity to avoid deepening grudges. She quickly reframed it as a senior's proposal, urging him to leave his sect and become her direct disciple. Though silent, Xiao Nan stayed wary, sensing hidden motives in her gaze. He cupped his hands and firmly refused, declaring he'd never betray sword sect. Right then, Mola's voice echoed from outside the cave, startling them both. Xiao Nan turned in delight at his senior sister's arrival. Shu Yunjiao instantly covered his mouth, signaling silence to avoid detection. She sensed a powerhouse approaching, while Xiao Nan blushed at their closeness. She whispered that she'd dropped the disciple talk, and Xiao Nan nodded frantically. Then her next move made him gasp in alarm. Before his eyes, Shu Yunjiao calmly removed her outer robe. Xiao Nan panicked and covered his eyes, begging her to stop, but she coolly said no need for drama. Seeing nothing improper, he cautiously peeked. She introduced a beast feather spirit armor with defense far beyond his current level. Holding the underarmor, Xiao Nan didn't know whether to laugh or cry at this bizarre kindness. Suddenly, she stepped closer until their breaths nearly touched. Shu Yunjiao solemnly fastened a necklace around his neck, like completing a secret rite. Leaving the cave with Flair, she smiled back, telling him not to pretend strangers if they met again. She departed without looking back, leaving Xiao Nan muttering about this baffling free favor. Just then, Molly followed the trail and arrived at the scene. She suspiciously asked what Xiao Nan was doing, eyes fixed on the cloth in his hand. Molly quickly recognized it as a rare item. Xiao Nan scratched his head, saying it was a thank you gift from an injured girl. After brief thought, Molly accepted it as his lucky break and told him to keep it. Xiao Nan frowned at the item, utterly clueless how to use it. He stored it carefully and followed Molly onward in cultivation. The next morning in the desolate Huangyu region, black-clad men surrounded an injured girl. Gritting her teeth, she invoked her sacred sect cousin to threaten them. The leader sneered, out here, no one would save her. His shamelessness made her curse them without restraint. They closed in, demanding she hand over a low-grade earth deer technique. When he suddenly attacked, terror flooded her eyes. Her clothes were torn. She shielded herself while cursing the villains. At the critical moment, a streak of golden spirit light struck like thunder. Hope instantly lit up her eyes. The blast sent the black-clad men flying, who spun around in shock. Xiao Nan emerged slowly, coldly condemning their bullying. The girl recognized him and cried out his name. She couldn't fathom how the once cripple now wielded such spirit power. Xiao Nan noted her Taichu sacred sect identity and chose to repay a favor. Sensing his level, the leader mocked a mere nin-stage spirit power. The girl urged Xiao Nan to flee. They were all Q-refining cultivators. She begged him to escape and notify Taichu sacred sect for rescue. Xiao Nan waved calmly, rejecting the plan. He pointed at the men, warning them to leave if they valued their lives. They burst into laughter, saying a low-level brat had no right to talk rules. The leader drew his sword with a cruel grin, declaring Xiao Nan dead. He lunged, but Xiao Nan sidestepped lightly as if strolling. Yuni screamed in panic for Xiao Nan. Against relentless sword strikes, Xiao Nan glided effortlessly, his movement so fluid not even his sleeve was touched. Seizing an opening, he gathered fist power and coolly remarked the speed was too slow. He leapt and threw a crushing punch head-on. One blow smashed the leader face first into the dirt. Xiao Nan stomped down with a finishing strike, declaring such trash unworthy of his sword. The remaining two were horrified. How could their key-refining senior lose so miserably? Yunyi stood stunned, unable to believe the once-scorned boy was now this strong. Xiao Nan coldly ordered them to drag the corpse and scram. They fled in panic, muttering weak threats. With it over, Xiao Nan told Yunyi no need for thanks, just return safely. Yunyi bowed, apologizing on behalf of her cousin for the broken engagement years ago. The apology made Xiao Nan pause. He calmly confirmed she was cousin to Nao Lan Go. Blushing, Yunyi nodded and sincerely conveyed her cousin's regret. Xiao Nan spoke bluntly for the past. Yunyi, ashamed yet grateful, offered the fire flame triple surge manual in compensation, showing she was nothing like her cousin. He accepted calmly, inwardly thrilled as if fortune fell from the sky. Yundi noticed his sword sec status and asked if he'd attend the 4-sec spring trial. She happily promised to meet again at the trial and left, teasing about his hero-saving beauty act lingering behind. Turning back, Xiao Nan saw Molly smirking. He denied any flirtation, saying he just hated seeing women bullied. He reported completing his training and entering the formation path. Mo Li deemed it passable and prepared to return for the coming spring trial. In Sword Sec's main hall, disciples buzzed about Feng Qingyang breaking into first-level Qi refining and obtaining a high-grade technique. Feng Qingyang bragged that only thanks to the Licheng sword art did he finally get the path of cultivation. Rumor had it the last spring trial slot went to Xiao Nan, the hidden dragon vein cultivator who once rattled Lei Wuxia's mind. Feng Qingyang scoffed coldly, swearing Xiao Nan couldn't beat him now, and that he'd reclaim 8th place. Meanwhile, Xiao Nan and Molly casually rode a flying gourd back to the sword sect, vibes immaculate. Midair, Xiao Nan suddenly let out a thunderous sneeze. Suspecting slander, he grumbled while Molly teased him and said she'd split off once they arrived. Curious, Xiao Nan tried prying, but Molly dodged. She didn't want two pesky stalkers tagging along. When Xiao Nan pulled her close and whispered something shady, Molly blushed furiously, having no clue what he meant. Xiao Nan wickedly claimed she rushed home to bathe because she smelled, nearly knocking Molly off the gourd in shock. Mortified and enraged, she blasted him away with a palm strike and called him the real stink bomb. Xiao Nan hit the ground groaning, whining that Molly went way too hard. Dinga's system happily awarded 5 constitution points for taking that beating. Before recovering, Xiao Nan heard a familiar voice. He was back at the sect. Seeing disciples gathered for drama, he quickly composed himself and declared his training trip over. Not missing a beat, he asked why everyone was crowding around like it was showtime. Feng Qingyang stepped up, flaunting his Q-refining first layer and challenging him for 8th place. Xiao Nan answered with pure disdain. He mocked Feng Qingyang for acting tough, only after a breakthrough and picking easy moments to flex. A gentle female voice cut in, coolly noting it was merely one of 4 spring trial spots. Hua Rui appeared, sweet yet sharp, advising Xiao Nan to yield. Her status alone made the crowd fear had poked a hornet's nest. Unfazed, Xiao Nan sneered and asked what authority she had to speak as if the sword sect were hers. Hua Rui froze, publicly speechless. Furious, she unleashed crushing pressure and coldly scolded the newbie for daring to insult her. The aura nearly suffocated Xiao Nan, but his system gleefully boosted his stamina and spirit under the expert's pressure. Hua Rui cracked her whip to teach him a lesson, while Xiao Nan stared straight at it, silently challenging her pride. Just as it fell, Instructor Nu blocked it like thunder splitting the sky. Hu Rui frowned and angrily demanded why he dared interfere. Xiao Nan was equally stunned, puzzled why the instructor shielded him. In truth, Instructor Ya was torn caught between the chief steward's heiress and the elder's protege. Offending neither was impossible. Forcing a smile, he urged both sides to let it go since the spring trial list was set. Hua Rui rejected that outright, calling the trial the sex honor and threatening to tell her grandfather. Cornered, the instructor stepped aside as Hua Rui pointed at Xiaonan, ordering him to fight Feng Qingyang for the slot. Xiaonan icily asked again what gave her the right to command him, leaving her fuming and speechless. The instructor hastily advised Xiaonan to back down, worried about the realm gap. Xiaonan smirked, unleashed surging spiritual power, scoffed at key-refining first layer, while Hua Rui tossed Feng Qingyang a low-grade spirit weapon, igniting his momentum as he launched the Gale Sword art. Xiaonan instantly answered with roaring spiritual energy charging head-on. With a cold shout, he executed the lethal Yanjing slash. Golden sword light exploded like a blazing sunset, crushing the air and forcing Feng Qingyang to desperately brace with his spirit weapon. Feng Qingyang's sword shattered like rotten wood, and he screamed in disbelief at the terrifying power of that strike. A thunderous explosion rocked heaven and earth, shockwaves rippling everywhere. The disciples were stunned. Silly one strike had crushed a low-grade spirit weapon, way beyond ninth-stage spirit power logic. Xiaonan shot Hua Rui a frosty, mocking smile, tossing out sarcasm that made her snap back in fury. Enraged and ready to strike again, Hua Rui was stopped by the instructor she left seething with a grudge, while Xiaonan privately labeled her emotionally complicated. The whole scuffle was quietly observed by two masters watching from afar. Bingyun marveled at Xiaonan's rapid growth, while Moli coolly said geniuses leveling up fast was hardly shocking. Bingyun gave Moli a meaningful glance, hinting she'd personally deal with Xiaonan someday. Moli calmly noted Xiaonan had instantly offended Hua Rui, who just happened to be a dangerously persistent enemy. Qin Shu believed Xiaonan was strong enough not to fear, and Moli agreed he could now suppress fifth-layer key refining without even using formations. Bingyun warned Hua Rui wasn't the real problem. Her grandfather, the law enforcement elder of Bujian Peak, was the true nightmare. Right then, Wu Yan stepped out serenely, declaring he would handle the matter himself. Bingyun frowned at his intent, but he only gave a short, cryptic reply. Before anyone could stop him, Wu Yan turned into smoke and shot off, leaving Bingyun pale and chasing after him, fearing a murder was imminent.